YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles Evershade Gaming, and I've got a Hobgoblin review slash beta update.
And this is an explanation of some of the new beta things. I kind of found this after I did most of my review, but I wanted to stick it towards the beginning since this is a beta update. So this is from one of the lab team, or not lab, supplement creators. It says, "Hey Hobgoblin players, we finally realized the Hobgoblins Beta 3. Now, as we said elsewhere, this is not the final beta, but it will be the final beta for quite some time, as with the Orcs and Goblins being the next lab in the queue. It seemed better to pause Hobgoblins on Beta 3 and pick up Beta 4 once the full Warborn book has found its feet, rather than rushing Hobgoblins to gold and discovering their disloyal cousins have special rule or profile change that fits Hobgoblins perfectly." Makes sense. Still, we've got lots of changes packed in this little supplement, so let's go over them. First off, some fun new toys. The beta banner gives mounts and Gogiags hatred. That's quite nice. Keep them lean, keep them mean, trample them with elephantry. Similarly, there's a new tool in the toolkit, the Hob Auxiliaries, a super cheap new game record. I mean, he's only 40 points, so yeah, super cheap character who has to stay in their unit, so no chaffing or cowboy shenanigans. Only one per unit, because fielding 5 of them would be a super elite Calvary blob. That would be silly. Agreed. But they're not just a champion. They come with infernal armor and some customization, so they can provide quite a nice little boost to offense. Equally important, though, they receive the bubble from an extra 6 inches away, so expanding that leadership. Basically, they're vassal chieftains from the ID book, but like the rest of the Hobgoblins book, expanded on and made a bit more the center of attention. Phew, that's a long explanation, or exposition. Next, some new toys got shared. The Satraps and Savarans can ride Colossal Camels. No machine gun, we're being a bit cautious here, but matching bases are a nice option to have, right? Then there's the things that got better. Headline news, here's the Gogiags. The Regimental Gogiag is core. Lost the ability to join special units, but they're archers. But they were archers, so really small price to pay for core war platform monsters, which is really cool and unique. We heard a lot of people complaining that Hobgoblins were caught too many models of a core, more than Vermin Swarm is too many, so we fixed it in style, right? Oh, and the kind of Gogiag written by characters, clearly they must be baby Aurochs, because now they have wounds, multi-wounds. Well, unlike most monsters, Gogiags can't really hide behind cover. This is fine for the regimental lads, they're just a unit, but when they're providing bubble, that's a bit more of a problem. Maybe slashing prices would have gotten the job done, but they were already pretty cheap for something so big. Still, that's not the only improvement. The Shah now copies the Overlord a little, unleashing the fury of burning hatred on their foes. They trade away their 4th attack for that, but said attack decided to go chill with the Wicked Serrations. That's one of the enchantments, and make the signature Hobgoblin weapon a little bit more appealing. Did we say a little bit more appealing? We mean a lot more appealing. It now triggers on a hit, which is very good. So it triggers a little bit more often, helps the Shah on their 2 wound rolls. Archery commanders now give quick to fire instead of mucking about with line formation. Not helpful for blunderbusses, they never were, but bootleg flintlocks can use this bonus. That's still good. Probably even better than before on archers. Also, don't forget that you can use it with Cataphracts. Speaking of, Sky Mountain emissaries now have Iron Rain, partly because people kept on noticing they didn't, plus some stat bumps to try and push them in the list a little bit more. But we did remove the extra +1 AP from the rule for gunpowder weapons. Arrows can use the bonus a bit more than bullets, but either way, the +1 hit bonus is nice for shooting weapons in the back and quick to fire. Remember what I just said about the archer commanders, at least when it comes to blunderbuss and flunks, can help you set up those shots. Downside. The special shooting units lost their magic banner slots. After reflection, we decided banners for everyone made Hobgoblins a little too magic item slot rich, and the natural place to remove them was from the shooting units, as combat units need them more, especially with the shiny new baited banner to try out. Circling back, back-to-backs, disciples also got even more AP when stabbing their foes in flanks and rears. Happy stabs giving. There's a few other changes here, but mostly for consistency and simplicity. No more Discipline 8 Wizard Generals. We'll probably bum someone out, but it's not like Goblin characters are super expensive. Slings still Sling Oil. We just moved that part to the Iron Rain to try and keep it all the rules together in one place. But mostly Field Elephants. They're core. Now, guys, come on, try it out. And that's from the supplement team.
So, Hobgoblins, one of the most recent supplements, I believe, is getting a small beta update. And I've also never really reviewed them on my channel. And I do play a decent bit of Infernal Dwarves, so I thought it'd be fun to give the sort of an overall review of the book, but also highlight some of the most recent changes in this beta, coming out in the year of our Lord 2022. And Hobgoblins are interesting in that they are, all these goblins that are pretty low skill, but they have some amazing equipment and some really good mounts in a lot of places. So this supplement starts out with a really cool fluff piece. It says, "To our mighty overlord, Kara-Ubtub, undisputed master of the lands, the Shah of Papak sends humble greetings. In accordance with his wise proclamations, we hereby disclose our forces under arms. As you shall see, the Shah is careful to keep within the limits justly prescribed to the vassals of the citadel of Kara-Ubtub. Whatever reports to the contrary may have been sent by troublemakers from other settlements. Additionally, the Shah wishes to assure the generous overlord, to whom his life is owed, that the Hobgoblins of Papak are utterly loyal. To be a Hobgoblin is to be loyal. We have forsaken the treachery and cunning of our lesser brethren, and seek only to emulate the nobility and warrior spirit of the mighty infernal people. Though, of course, we are but the palest of imitations." And this really speaks to the whole vassal theme in the Infernal Dwarf book, in that, these dwarves have all these people subjugated to them that serve them, and they put limits on them, and, they trade with them, and they use them militarily, but, they are essentially inferior to them, and they, have subjugated them to be inferior. So the supplement only has one army-specific rule. It's Warrior Vassals, and it's the total combat bonus from each player gained in duels. So this is both the Hobgoblin player and the opponent. From lost health points on enemy units, and overkill is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 0. So both Hobgoblin characters can't get a lot from winning duels, and the enemy can't have a higher overkill bonus for killing like a champion or something like that. So it just kind of goes back to they aren't really all that important overall. So they have, I think, an updated, or maybe even just a new universal rule called Hob Cohesion. For the purpose of receiving commanding presence and rally around the flag from enemy models, the model counts as 6 inches closer to those models. So essentially a way of expanding the commanding presence and rally around the flag. It's important, kind of what Verminstorm does. Its leadership is always important, especially in this army. They're kind of mostly around 7, even like special units, so getting that higher leadership is pretty important. And then they have a new rule called Regimental Mascot. The model must be deployed in and can only join a Hob Levees unit. The model can never voluntarily leave its unit, and we'll see which characters that applies to. They have a new update to Iron Rain too, so yes. Yeah, if one or more of the following conditions are met, the shooting attack gains +1 to hit and always has at least AP 1 if the attack is in the target's flank or rear, or if the target has suffered 1 or more hits from slings earlier in the same shooting phase, and no other shooting attacks hit the unit since then. So that's pretty cool. I think they also changed it to always has 1 AP, because I think blunderbusses and flintlocks were getting like AP 3 or 4 in certain conditions, and that's a little ridiculous. So they kind of capped the AP, and I don't know if they added this rule about the slings, but that's neat that it gives you a reason to want to take the slingers from core to make your shooting a little bit better. I mean, AP1 bows are actually nothing to sniff at. They still have Infernal Armor, they still have their Blunderblesses, they still have their Flintlocks. You know, we all know those weapons from the Infernal Dwarves. Their Hereditary spell changed just slightly, in that its targets with Supernal cannot take break tests. I think that is simply to I think it just makes it worse for supernal units, I believe. But it's still the same augment slash hex in that you can buff your units so that they can't break from combat, and you can debuff your opponent's units by making it that if they lose combat, they lose wounds, which, you know, if you're facing something a lot more elite, that can be pretty nasty. They have just a small selection of special items. They have the Wicked Serrations, which is a great weapon enchantment. It's basically looks like it's for the shot only, so really only applicable to a couple, like one character. And it's a great weapon that you get lightning reflexes and +1 attack, which is pretty good. And in addition, single model units that have suffered one or more hits, that's nice. From this weapon, suffer -1 resilience and -1 attack light. So that's very good at debuffing single model small monsters. That's a nice weapon. For 50 points, that's very good. Yeah, it's reasonable. Elemental Plate is a suit of armor enchantment, so that's nice and go on anything. Gain a 4 Aegis against close combat attacks, and then this Aegis save cannot be used against close combat attacks made with a hand weapon. That's kind of odd, but interesting. In addition, the wearer gains Aegis 4 against flaming attacks. Interesting. Okay, so it's better against everything but hand weapons. So, yeah, the Light of the Sonstal. Watch out, it's coming for you. Death's Hand Aura is a suit of armor enchantment. You get +2 armor, and if mounted, you just get +1. But in addition, you gain Aegis 3 up against special attacks. That's actually very good. Aegis 3 up, that's pretty high. It's only special attacks, but I mean, it's not bad if you're on foot. It makes you pretty resilient to stomps. And then, I mean, if you are mounted, it makes you resilient against impact hits. It's not bad. And a 3 up is like an improvement if you have like a 2 up, 5 up, or something like that, and you go to a 3 up. That's a big improvement on a 5 up Aegis save. And it's 45 points. That's cheap. Same thing as the Black Steel and the Parson Style book. They have a new banner called the Baited Banner. It's standard height models only, and model parts with harness in the bearer's unit gain Hatred. That's definitely really good on some units, or actually really just the main unit, the Bear Dog Calvary, is really good because those models have like 2 attacks apiece. Probably not that incredible on anything else, I believe. And it's standard height models only, so I think it's pretty much targeting that unit to maybe beef that unit up being a little bit more intense. They have the Green Tide banner from the Orc and Goblin book to give fighting extra reflexes, or fighting extra rank. They have the Predator Pennant. That's from the Sylvan Elf book. They get Devastating Charge when they get Distracting when they charge. They have the Breath of the Brass Bull from the ID book that gives the +1 health point and a toxic breath weapon. And then they have Zartosh's Chains. I don't believe this is, I think this is for their book only. Enemy units in base contact with the bearer's model suffer a -2 defense skill. That's definitely needed for this army. And the roll for flee distance of enemy units in base contact with the bearer is subject to minimize. That's very good. That's actually like a couple Dread Elf items, you know, with that one new the Chilling Frost, and then I think the do the Hunting Bolas do that too? Either way, that's very good. Pretty much standard armorization. 40% characters, 25% core, no limit on special. Blotting Out the Sun is, I think, anything with a shooting weapon. Max 35. They have just 3 characters, I believe. Yep, they used to have a different type of shaman, but they're 2 different kind of shamans, but they merged them together. So they have the Satrap, which is kind of their main person. The Shah Papak is unfailingly loyal to our glorious overlord, as are the Satraps. Our rulers lead our people and will happily dispatch as many troops as requested to the service of that most magnificent of citadels, Karutub, whenever required. Naturally, there is no need for them to go to war themselves. It will serve your greatness better to keep them in the palace, supervising tax collection. So these models have Hob Cohesion, which I believe is the rule, correct me if I'm wrong, that increases the rally around the flag. So that's going to be this is going to be your BSB and your general in about all cases. So that's pretty cool. That means you have like 18-inch bubbles, to my understanding. So this is a Advanced 4, March 8, Discipline 8 model. Has 3 HP, Defense 5, Res 4, 0 armor, but it wears Infernal Armor. Just Infernal Armor is amazing. It has 3 attacks, Offensive 5, Strength Point B1, pretty normal Goblin stats, and Agility 5, it's pretty fast. Iron Rain, so it also benefits with its shooting weapons, and his Weapon Master. Just as a general rule, it looks like they added that. It's pretty neat. It must choose one choice, either a Calvary commander, an archery commander, or a Shah, and the Shah cannot be the BSB. So the archery commander, the model gains quick to fire. That is a change. It was something different. It might have been an extra rank of fire rain before. Now it's quick to fire. Cavalry commander, which is free. The model must take a mount. When the model's unit the model's unit must reroll any natural ones when rolling for charges. So that's just a great little buff. And then the Shah model gains hatred. It's not bad if you're using that Wicked Serrations, like 4 strength, 6 attacks with hatred. It's nice. And then you get extra special items up to 200 points. And then the most important thing is the Discipline 9. That's the only way this army gets Discipline 9. It's the Shah. It pretty much seems like you're always going to take a Shah, which I think is sort of I don't want to say seems like they are forcing you to do that, but kind of forcing you to do that. They want you to take a shot, I think, every game. BSB is 50 points is normal. You can only have 100 points of equipment normally, so that is pretty, that's kind of hero level stuff. The shield, period weapons, lance, great weapon, flintlock, blunderbuss, bow. It's funny that you can take a flintlock and a bow, and your bow's a 2 of it. It's pretty good. Yeah, because I guess flintlock is also a combat weapon, strength 5. Yeah, it's pretty good. They have 5 mounts, which is quite a few. Mountain Wolf for 45 points, a Colossal Camel for 65, a Bear Dog for 70, a Royal Gogiag for 200, and then a Plains Tusker for 210. Whew, that Plains Tusker is pretty pricey. Man, these guys are 135. That's pretty pricey. I'm curious why the Plains Tusker is so expensive. It seems just like quite a bit. So you have a Hob Conjurer. That's your normal wizard. A little fluff and it is a fact of existence that the mystical arts are essential to victory on the field of battle. We are blessed to have dwarf-trained conjurers, and they are naturally loyal to the masters. Should you require their assistance in battle, they will be made available in an instant. Attached are their specific credentials and accredentials. This is a Advanced 4, March 8, Discipline 7. It's an apprentice, 3 health points, 3 defense, resilience, offensive strength, 1 attack, agility 3. It does not have Iron Rain. Because it looks like it doesn't. Yeah, you can't take a shooting weapon. I think you used to be able to take a shooting weapon with. There was a different kind of conjurer before that was like I think it was called Infernal Lackey. It was basically like you only took pyromancy, you had Infernal Armor, and I think it could get a flintlock. So they must have changed that to where you're just a wizard now, but you still can get Infernal Armor and a Wizard Master, which is pretty good. I mean, Infernal Armor is a 4-up. It's good stuff. 5-up Aegis against slamming attacks. That's always nice. And if you're an adept or a master, you can take a mount, a Mountain Wolf, or a Plains Tusker. That's pretty cool. Plains Tusker could be interesting, especially with shamanism. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, actually. Or witchcraft. Either one of those could be kind of quite nice. Yeah, I almost could see taking like an adept on that. Sounds. What are you pushing? 340-ish points. It's a little pricey, but it's 2 spells and you got a nice mount, and he's kind of with a unit. That's not bad. Especially if you do shamanism. It's gonna be hard to kill that character. Otherwise, pretty standard wizard. And then this is a new character, the Hob Savaran, I think. Savaran. The Hobgoblins are sworn to serve, so we are So we require strong leadership and a hierarchy that stretches below the Shah and satraps. The sovereigns lead our people into battle, in trade, and in training. Should you have new doctrines you wish to employ, simply send a message to a sovereign. It will be their honor to follow your commands. So this is Advanced 4, March 8, Discipline 7. He is a loyal lieutenant, and he has Hob Cohesion. Infernal Armor, Shield, Iron Rain, Weapon Master, Bow. This model has the Loyal Lieutenant role, which I believe, we scroll up, that is... See, they have Regimental Mascot, which must be deployed. So I guess that's not that rule, so this is just a different rule to this character, but seems like the same rule, where it's like the model must be deployed in a unit that is at least one rank and file of the same height, and it cannot, and it doesn't contain other models with Loyal Lieutenant, so you can't have multiple Hob Savarans of the same unit. Which is probably good, considering they are super cheap. And then they can't leave that unit, too. So I guess that's similar rules, but I guess they felt the need to make two different ones. He comes with some great kit. I mean, he's got a 3-up armor save with Infernal Armor Shield. Only 2 H points, but, I mean, defense 4, R4, offensive 4. He's got the same stats as the satraps. A little bit lower agility. Still has Iron Rain. He comes with a bow, basic. That's kind of nice. So, I mean, for 40 points for a dude with a bow and a 3-up armor save, that's pretty cheap. And then, I mean, he can't take any enchantments, which is pretty big. But he can take any manner of equipment. So he's only ever going to have like that 3-up armor save. But, I mean, you can give him a gray weapon. You can give him Flintlock. You can give him Blunderbuss. Blunderbuss is 5 more points. That's nothing. A better bow, which is kind of amusing. For 5 more points, he has a 2-up bow. That's funny. Or a lance. He can be on a couple different mounts. Plains Tusker, kind of expensive, but everything else is, I mean, 40, 25, 15. Pretty cheap stuff. So, and to my understanding, I think was the Hob Cohesion rule the important thing? Yeah, for the purpose of receiving commanding presence, rallying frag, the mono constant being. So I guess this guy maybe is important because maybe that's actually how the Hob Cohesion rule works now, where you might need like these little dudes hanging out in your units. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is you have these Savarans in your units that are you're going to deploy farther away from your Shah and your BSB, and then he counts as being 6 inches closer, makes it an 18-inch bubble. Okay, I'm getting it now. That's interesting. I mean, for 40 points, he's pretty cheap, and he comes with a bow. I mean, yeah, he's not bad for like a 40 little point dude. I could see picking one of those guys up for some units I'm going to put on my flank. I mean, he can pretty much go in any unit in the game in this army book. So interesting. I'm curious to see how those get used. So they have 5 mounts for the characters. A mountain wolf. The wolves of Sky Mountain are strong and swift enough to bear the light frame of a hobgoblin. We find they are easier to feed than horses and less prone to foolish deaths. So it's a standard Calvary, 25 by 50 mils. 816, Feigned Flight, Light Troops, Vanguard 6, 2 attacks, offensive 3, strength 3. So I guess even that Hatred banner could be okay on this unit too. I think you want it for this one though. The Bear Dog. As loyal as a dog, as savage as a mountain bear, and as swift as a bull, the Bear Dog is a noble mount. The Hobgoblins have domesticated these beasts for countless generations. Should our masters wish, we would be happy to instruct others in their employment. We caution, however, that they do occasionally eat disliked riders. So it's a little bit slower than the Mountain Wolf. A 714. Yeah, important thing here, it's got the sea of characters. And then it's C+2, which is pretty awesome. I mean, gosh, if you put this on a Hob Savaran for 25 points, you've got a 1-up model. I mean, he can't leave the unit, but that's pretty neat. Wow. Or even a 2-up if you give him a gray weapon. Wow, that's that's interesting. See, what you do is you take a min-size unit, you let the unit all die, then you have a 65-point or 70-point cowboy with 75-point cowboy with a lance. That's pretty sweet. Probably takes a lot of work to do that cowboy, but yeah. 2 attacks, offensive 3, strength 4, AP 1, agility 2. And then, that's right, I forgot bear dogs have stomp 1. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of damage, actually. Yeah, so I could see the Hatred Banner being pretty decent on bear dogs. Plains Tuskers are Advance 8, March 14. The ferocious Tuskers of Augia make magnificent pets, and the Shah keeps several in the palace grounds. Some are sacred, while others are more like friends and can barely bear to be parted from their master. These cause fear, and they have HP 3, R5, C+2. So these also come with a lot of armor. And then 4 attacks, offensive 3, strength 5, BB 2, and then D3 impacted. So yeah, very much like the Tuskers from Ogre Cons. Yeah, I'm just like thinking back to those Wizard Adepts. Like the C+2 is pretty big. You can only get Infernal Armor if you're a Master. But I mean, yeah, 4 armor save is pretty good. But yeah, it's not. It's interesting the idea of taking like a Master Shamanism and you have like a 2-up armor save on like your Plains Tusker. I mean, that's pretty pricey. I mean, you're looking at 380, 520. So that's probably getting like a little too pricey at that point, but I don't know. That's interesting. I'd be kind of curious to see what builds there are. And then you have a Royal Gogiag, which is like Gigantic Beast, 0-3 mounts per army. It's a beast, 60 by 100 mils. This model also counts toward the maximum number of regimental Goyags allowed from core. Goyag is the Baba Buptuk name for any big and inspiring creature befriended by goblins. Though, of course, we do not treat them with the same reverence as less enlightened goblins. As such, we technically list the personal mount and companions of some of our war leaders, though naturally as pets they are not precisely true military assets. Still, we hope this scrupulous attention to detail shows our dedication to the regulations. So this is a 6'10 Advanced March, Discipline 7, Regimental Mascot. So I guess that's where it comes in for this unit. Can't leave its unit that it goes into. It's got War Platform, HP 5, Defense 3, R6, Armor 3, Royal Goyag Barding, so you half multiple wounds. That's really nice. 4 dudes on top, 4 drummers. They have 1 attack piece, offense 3, strength 3, 0 AP, agility 3. They got bows and halberds. Halberds are nice. They got the Iron Rain rule, just like everything else in this book. And then the Goyag's got, or the Gogiag is got 4 offensive 3, strength 5, AP 2 attack. So nothing crazy, but depending on who's it mounted on and who. Can you put just a normal sat trap on one of these? Yeah, you can. Okay, that's pretty neat. I mean, just on its own, that's only 335 points. That's not all that expensive. And then you could even give him Archery Commander. He's like, you can always move, and everything's already, shooting. It's pretty neat. I like that. I could see that. And then they have one other mount. It's the Colossal Camel. Upon the border of the wasteland, a breed of camel has grown to surprising size. Docile as any camel, and less nimble than smaller ones. These beasts serve the Citadel as pack beasts, not cavalry. I am sure the honored master who might read this has seen them making the treks to the Sky Mountains, burdened down with such trade goods as the masters see fit to send to the Khanates. Large cavalry, 40 by 60. So it's a little bit larger. That's actually the Thunder Pack beasts in the Dread Elf book. 7, Advanced 7, March 14. Discipline of the character. Interesting. HP of the character, defense, our resilience, C+1, 2 attacks, strength 3, strength 4, AP 1, and agility 2. Yeah, the Colossal Camels. That's interesting. I'm not exactly sure why one would want to put a character on a Colossal Camel, because they have a very specific unit that shoots. I guess, can you put a wizard on one? No, you can't put a wizard on one. Yeah. Oh. But you can put an archery commander on one. Okay, sorry, we're skipping ahead, folks. Just kind of curious. Sky Mountain Emissaries. Oh, so they're already quick to fire. Never mind. So yeah, I don't see why you'd put a character on one, but you can if you want to. So core, they have only three core entries. That's right. They moved one thing in there. So two main core units and then a big monster in core, which is pretty unique. Hob Levees. Hob Levees pretty much do everything. So starting out with 20 models, can go to 40, standard infantry 20 by 20. Units marked with BS are also blotting the sun. You know, oh great overlord, that we train our soldiers to the standards set by the masters. Levies comprise the heart of our military forces and are matched against such foes as appropriate for us to battle. Some few may deviate slightly from standard protocols, but we would not dream of wasting the master's time with them. So these are 4-8 troops, discipline 7, they're scoring, 1 HP, defense 3, R3, 0 armor, but they have light armor. And then they have 1 attack, strength 3, offense 3, 0 AP, agility 3, iron rain. So this is where, they have a lot of different options though. So they can take bows for 2 points model. They come blotting out the sun. They must take at least one thing. They can have paired weapons for free. They can have shields for free. That's actually just nice in itself. 20 models for 150 points of shields. Musician 125 for a scoring unit. That is really cheap. Put like a little hob guy in there, and you kind of nice on the flank. That's pretty sweet. Anyway, they can take a spirited shield for 1 point. That's not all that much. And they can take halberds and heavy armors for 2 points. That's also not that bad at all for 7 points a model for heavy armor. And yeah, that's pretty sweet. And then they can take any limit on banner enchantments. They got standard full command. Then you have Hob Auxiliaries. So you start out with 10 models, can go up to 20, standard infantry 20 by 20. The unit counts towards both core and blotting the sun. Left to our devices, it is notable and shameful that we hobgoblins are forced to adopt less forceful approach to confrontations. Shepherds throwing stones are our own levy, troops as far below our own trained warriors as our warriors are far below the masters. Naturally, this leads them to be categorized as auxiliary adjuncts to standard forces. So these guys are 4-8. Discipline 7, light troops, Vanguard 6, a little short but nice. 1 HP, 3s across the board. They do not have the boiling oil rule. That's interesting. That's the rule from ID that makes things flammable. There's not a whole lot of flaming attacks in here, but there could be with flaming banners and core. They can either be disciples for free or slingers for free, and your 0 to 2 units in the army regardless. Otherwise, well, you're pretty much limited to that. So they can take a champion or a musician for 10, or they can take both for 10 points each. So disciples, the model gains Swiss Stride, and they've lost some text, but now it just says, in addition, while the model's unit is engaged in an enemy's flank or rear facing, the model's close combat attacks gain +1 to hit and +3 armor penetration. Okay. Wow. They have paired weapons, so you got 2 attacks apiece. You're actually offensive 4, not 3. But AP 3, that's pretty scary. And +1 to hit. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, wowza. And then sling is slingers gain sling, and slingers are hard target 1, a significant sling 4-up, a sling hits on a 4, range 18, 1 shot, strength 3, AP 0, and then you get +1 strength when shooting from short range. That's not bad. You're going to have to get close, but for 10 points or 125 points, yeah. Wow, these guys seem really nice. They're not scoring, so you probably got to be careful how many you're taking and balancing out how much other scoring you're taking. But I think the rest of this book is scoring. So, man, I could see a lot of Hob Auxiliaries in these army books, or these armies. And then, this is a new thing to the core. They have a Regimental Gogiag. Some Hobgoblin regiments have magnificent miscellaneous mascots. With training and care, such creatures can often carry and sometimes even play the great hob drums of war. Per section 67D, not a giant rulebook for this army itself. Unit mascots are, of course, not counted as soldiers under arms or cavalry. The recent trend of adopting the largest and fiercest beasts of the blasted plains as mascots was indicated by the soldiers, who seemed to take it as a point of pride to find the most magnificent, majestic mascot. All to the honor masters. All to the honor of the masters, of course. So the Gogiag is Advance 6, March 10, Discipline 7. It has a giant drum. It's a musician. It's not a leader. It's a regimental mascot, so it can't leave its unit in its war platform. And then it's the same stats as the character mount. 5 HP, R6. The crew has bows and halberds. And then the giant drum is the range of the model's march to the beat, and enemy units that are required to take the march to beat test is 18 inches, like the bell from Vermin Swarm. So that's pretty cool for like 200 points. You can stick 3 of these in your core. Then you get a big monster too. I mean, you're losing, let's see. I mean, I guess, so you got 4 attacks, 4 attacks. You're losing like maybe 7 attacks or so in some cases, but they're all high quality attacks with strength 5 AP2, and then you get like a Thunder Stomp too. It's very cool. I like it. So core is pretty standard but effective. Special is pretty much all cavalry, since that was a big focus of this book, was to run cavalry. You have a Mountain Wolf Cavalry, which is standard cavalry, 25 by 55. You start with 5 models. You can go up to 15. The flowers of our youth and a pinnacle of wolfmanship, our riders should be a familiar sight to our glorious masters, trained in bow and spear and the swiftness of the mountain wolf that is most prized. These are excellent warriors, and we understand the constant demand for their training from our superiors. Pursuant to Section 287, we would like to apply for an expansion of the wolf breeding program to better supply the masters with well-trained riders. The bureaucracy between the infernal dwarves and their vassals is a little ridiculous, but it's almost cute. So these, as we saw earlier, 816 mounts, Feigned Flight, Light Troops, Vanguard 6, and they're actually good. They have lances, they have bow 4-ups, they're offensive 4. I mean, the wolf's got 2 attacks. This is a great unit. They can even take a banner, so you can be 918. That's pretty cool with a banner speed. So, and they're 11 points per model. Oh my goodness. That is so cheap, actually. So, like, 10 of these guys, 55 more points. That's 125 points? 225 points for 10 dudes. That's pretty great. I mean, just this unit alone itself, honestly, and the shooting is good too, in that, like, your bows. Does Iron Rain give you +1 to hit or just +1 AP now? I gotta look back. Iron Rain is. Yeah, you get +1 to hit and you get AP1 too. So, like, at short range, I guess these troops aren't quick to fire. But at short range, you're hitting on 4s with AP1. I mean, it's not like a ton of hits, but like, in addition to all the other shots you're shooting. Sorry, way got lost. The Mountain Wolf Cav are great. They're not scoring, so you're not going to take a whole army of them, and you really can't. You're only 0 to 2 units. But they're definitely good at what they do. That's for sure. Hob Cataphracts. Among the more notable of our specialist levies are the bear dog riding Cataphract. Skilled in bow and spear, most are veterans of glorious service to the masters. Should the masters ever feel the need to call upon older, slower cavalry to supplement their forces, they have Cataphracts stand ready to answer the call. So these guys are kind of like the main unit, I feel like, they base this book around. And they do their job really well. I mean, for 275 points, you get 10 standard cavalry, Advance 7, March 14, Discipline 8, scoring 1 HP. Their defense 4, R3, armor 2, and oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, you have 2 different armors. That's what it is. So yeah, armor 2, and then you've got a veteran who's offensive 4, agility 3, who has Iron Rain and a bow. And then you've got a bear dog that's got its 2 strength 4 if you want attacks and a stomp. So you can either have Cataphract for free, which that gives the model a lance, paired weapons, heavy armor, shield, and weapon master, which is quite nice. So that's where you can get a 2-up against range, or a 2-up in combat with a lance, or a 3-up with paired weapons. Very versatile. Yeah, even like a lot of attacks with like paired weapons, and you can even take 20 models in this unit, which is like a humongous cavalry unit. But this is like probably one of the only units in the game that can do like a big cavalry unit because they have all these great rules. You can take a banner, full command, or you can take Eternals for 2 points per model, and the Eternals get great weapons and infernal armor and hatred against beasts and cavalry. So that's pretty cool. Always strengths 5, AP2 with these guys. And they also all still have bows. So you're shooting with your bows. You don't necessarily even have to charge if you're the Eternals. I mean, 2 points per model isn't really all that expensive for great weapon and hatred. Infernal armor is just nice for the flaming aegis. Yeah, Cataphracts are cool. They're scoring. I don't know why every unit. I don't know why every unit have at least one of those, if not two. Tusker Mahoots. Construction projects never fail to benefit from the might of a tamed Tusker. Such beasts are an asset in forestry, agriculture, and transport. Occasional presence of a herd of Tuskers near an army can generally be explained as part of the supply train. Any sightings of particularly large beasts bred from ogre stock and equipped with giant war platforms are likely cases of mistaken identity. We would not militarily employ such creatures in excess of standard regulations of military forces per 32D. So as you can see, these Hob Levees, these Hob vassals, they're pulling a fast one. So these are probably probably their priciest unit in the book. 400 points for 3 models. 110 for an additional model. You can have up to 5 models in a unit. So 620 points for 5 models. Large Cav, 50 by 100. 8, Advance 8, March 14. They cause fear. They're scoring 3 wounds. They are equipped with heavy armor. And their armor too, so they have a 3-up armor save. And then Hobgoblin Mahoots, you got 3 dudes on top, 1 attack piece, offensive 4, strength 3. They got halberds, so strength 1, AP1 attacks, or strength 4, AP1 attacks. And then you've got a Plains Tusker with 4 attacks, strength 5, AP2. You know, it's the Tuskers, you know, from Ogre Cons. Except in this case, this is like the one unit that doesn't have bows, which is kind of odd. But maybe that would be really good, like 3 shots per Tusker model. To get like, I mean, it's only like 9 bows at first, but I mean, with all the other bows you have in this army, it would probably get a little ridiculous. And then it can, not ridiculous. Full command, banner, it's nice. Yeah, pretty standard. Tusker Cav. And then in the Blotting the Sun category, they have 3 more units. They have a Blasted Plains Emissary, which is standard infantry 20 by 20. The finest of our people are, of course, those honored with permission to visit the great citadels. These universally admired hobgoblins are invariably enlightened by the company and generosity of the masters. To us, they seem to return with some measure of dwarven discipline and battle vigor, as well as fine arms and armor. Still, weapons are not the warrior, so claims that the dwarven trained soldiers should count double towards the levy limits should clearly be dismissed. Again, these guys, they're just trying to get away with being more powerful than what they are. So Advance 4, March 8, Discipline 8, scoring. And then these guys are 1 wound each with Discipline or Defense 3, R3. They do have Infernal Armor and Shields, so they come up with 3-up. That's pretty sweet. 1 attack, Strength 3, Offensive 3, Agility 3, Iron Rain. And then they can take a bow, a blunderbuss, or a flintlock. Probably the biggest thing here with the blunderbusses is if they do get to shoot in the flank, or if the slings have shot first, the blunderbusses hit on 4s. That's pretty big. I mean, they're 4 points a model, so you're talking about 17 points a model. So this unit probably gets a little pricey. I mean, just buying them straight off the bat, you go up to 300 points for 20 models with blunderbusses. It's getting a little bit pricey, but I mean, hitting on a 4 strength 5 AP3 is pretty awesome. So, but then they can't take a banner enchantment, which is important. They can't take the Banner Relentless Company, so you can't march 15 inches with these guys and just set your slingers up, march up with your blast plane emissaries, and just annihilate a unit with your blunderbusses. So that's nice. At least they're limited to moving only 8 inches a turn. So if anything, they've also have a shorter blunderbuss range than Infernal Dwarves. So yeah, interesting. I'm sure these guys have a place. If anything, just being a scoring unit with, like you get a free bow for 220 points, like a bunch of heavy armored goblins. It's not bad. I mean, you could put like that Hob guy in there, sit these guys on the flank, maybe get your reroll, disciplinate. It's going to be kind of hard to shift these guys unless you go in and fight them. And, you can always have stuff ready to countercharge. So, yeah, I mean, that seems like a decent unit for scoring. I think they seem like a valuable scoring unit in this army since scoring. I thought there was more scoring, but it's like, what? It's just the levies, your standard core, your levies, your cataphracts, your tuskers, and then these guys. Oh, and then the emissaries too are also scoring. Okay, so you got 5 scoring. You still got some different options to play with, but they seem very solid. I don't have any complaints about them. 245 points for the Sky Mountain emissaries. You get 3 models to start. This is 0 to 3 units per army. No limits on these guys. That's interesting, actually. I mean, the only thing limited by is the blotting the sun cap. Large cab. These are the dudes on the Colossal Camels. Finally, reports may have circulated as to the inclusion of camel-based cavalry squadrons equipped with the export-grade firearms that would exceed our allowance of powder and ammunition. These are utterly unfounded. The incident in question occurred when the Red Ridge Consortium's envoys were swept into conflict on the sealed road through simple misfortune. They fought bravely to protect their dwarf master's investment, not for the Shah. So these guys are Advanced 7, March 14. Discipline 8, scoring. Discipline 8's pretty good. Jeez, on these guys. That's quite nice. Yeah, the discipline's not really is that terrible. I mean, they have a lot of 8s in their special. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. And then these guys are pretty much essentially bombardiers because they, except better in a way. More expensive, of course, but I mean, they have less wounds. That's pretty big. They only have 2 HP. They're R4. Their armor. They have a 3-up armor save. Wow. Armor 1 and Infernal armor. Wow. That's not bad, though. That kind of makes up for having less wounds. The Emissary, just a 1 dude on top with attack. Nothing else. But he's got Iron Rain, too. Never mind. That's insanely good. They don't get the extra AP, but the extra +1 to hit is huge for all these like shooting attacks if they're in the flank or if these slings hit. So they get a saddle cannon, which is a D6. It's a bombardier cannon. D6 shots, strength 4, AP2, quick fire. That's awesome. They can't take banner. That's probably smart. Yeah, that's great. I mean, they're less impressive in combat because there's 1 less attack, but it's not really that big. Yeah, 245 is a little bit more expensive than Bombardiers, but I mean, you got a 3-up armor save. It's pretty nice. They're a little bit bigger, too, a little bit more unwieldy, but yeah, I love the idea of the camels with machine guns on their back, which I believe was inspired by World War II, of all things. And the last entry in the book is the Hob Ballista, which is a 100-point ballista, which is 0 to 2 models per army. It's a standard construct. And pursuant to Section 743B, the maintenance and operation of torsion-powered supplementary artillery is continued but restricted in operation design to senior engineers who have served as clerks and apprentices to the Temple of Nezbakesh. A Hob Ballista is standard war machine, 4/4, discipline 7. It does have light armor, 5 HP, resilience 4. 3 attacks from the crew, normal stats. It has Iron Rain, which is pretty big for these ballistas. I mean, getting a ballista hit on a 3-up in a flank that's pretty huge, actually. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean, it's a standard ballista, range 48, shots 1, strength 3, 6, AP 10, area attack. For 100 points, I don't know why you wouldn't want 2 of these in every list. With Iron Rain. That's pretty awesome. This concludes this report on the disposition of the military forces of Pepak, both actual forces and wild-eyed accusations from jealous rival vassals. We hope that our glorious overlords will find it useful. May your tyranny rain down upon us for 10,000 years. I, Kleptico, accountant of the to the Shah of Pepak, inscribe these words. Tablet found in the ruins of Minesh, a former city of the Blasted Plains. All right, let's just take a one peek at the changelog, just see if we missed anything. Yep, this is the 2022 beta 1. So yeah, the new rule for Hob Cohesion, which is pretty big with the new Severan, pretty much gives a whole reason for that character to be there. Although I think Hob Cohesion also works between the Satrap characters too. So like your Satrap and Shah benefit from the extended range, which is pretty cool. Just kind of an interesting way to extend your bubbles. The regimental mascot, I think that just applies to all the Gogiags, so that they stay in the units, which is smart since they're coming at core. Iron Rain is a little less strong, but still very good. Added Fearless, the hereditary spell. Wicked Serrations, shot only, get +1 attack. You change the health point losses to the hits, which is nice. You got the new banner that affects mounts. You have the new Colossal Camel. Don't know why, but it's there. Drum Gogiag is named a Royal Gogiag for the character mount. He gets the Barding rule, which is quite nice. Having multi-wounds, the Rock rule. Yes, Satrap gains Hob Cohesion. Yep, so that's right. So that new rule where you get to extend your inspiring presence and rally around the flag, that works through Satrap and your Shah, who's a Satrap. So that is quite nice. And then the upgrades were tweaked a bit. They took away Iron Rain from the Hamkarger because he doesn't have any shooting profile now. They added the armor because they got rid of the other character, which I don't see it, but they removed boiling oil from the auxiliaries and simplified the disciples. They moved the drum Gogiag to core, which was pretty huge. We named it to Regimental Gogiag. And then they removed the banner enchantment from both Blasted Plains and Sky Mountain Emissaries, which again is pretty big, considering both those units are really effective shooting units, and they probably didn't need that extra banner kind of abuse that can happen. Breath of Brass Bull went up, Satrap base cost went up, Archer Commander went up, Calvary Commander's free, Satrap went down, mounts went down. Hob Conjure went down, and then it got the normal wizard updates. The Plains Tusker went down quite a bit. Okay, that's interesting. Hob Levees went down. Auxiliaries are free. They were 1 point beforehand. The auxiliaries are the disciples. The Hob Auxiliary disciples were really spicy. The Mountain Wolf Calvary lost a point. Hob Cataphract 5 points cheaper. Eternals 1 more point expensive. The Blast Plane Emissaries went down, and the Sky Mountains went down. So a couple things went down, a couple things went up, and then some pretty significant design changes. The Hob Cohesion definitely changes the way you play this army, and then just, like adding the monster to core is pretty cool. That's definitely very different. I don't think there's really anything else in the game that has something that has a thunder stomp in core, unless Soaring Ancients has got something to show us that we don't know yet. So very cool. All right, well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this really long and rambling review of the Hobgoblins, plus the update on their beta. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you soon with some more 9th Age content.